go and I'll share. So good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Jennifer Andrews, and I'm the Director of Early Childhood Strategies for Chattanooga 2.0. And you are here, this is the Technical Assistance webinar for tuition assistance under the Quality Matters Fund. I'm minimizing all of my videos, so if you'll need anything, just come off mute and shout. So I'm going to run through really quickly what is the Quality Matters Fund, who is Chattanooga 2.0, what is Early Matters, and then go from there. So Early Matters is an action team of Chattanooga 2.0. Chattanooga 2.0 is a local organization that is working with partners in the community from birth to career to give children, students, and young adults access and opportunities to quality education, early care and education, which is most relevant to you all, and then that higher education, and then eventually the attainment of a thriving wage job. We've been around since about 2015, 2016. And again, 2.0, we look at data, we learn from people in the community, identify strategies, and then implement things to prove what works and what doesn't. And then we continuously collect data. So our big four, again, from birth all the way up to career, we're looking at things like kindergarten readiness, third grade reading, college and career, and the role that childcare plays in this continuum of birth to career is so incredibly important because it's the foundation for all future learning and life success. No pressure, but childcare has a very important role to play. And so we're constantly looking through our Early Matters action team of how we can support childcare, and one of those largest supportive needs is to support the childcare teachers. So Early Matters is our early childhood action team made up of partners from the health, learning, and family support sectors of Hamilton County. That's pediatricians, nurses, people working in early childhood mental health and nutrition. Your early learning and development is your licensed childcare, pre-K, and then those first few years of elementary school. So we've got the school system and childcare teachers and directors working with us. Our higher education institutions like Chattanooga State, who's on the call, UTC, and others who are helping prepare teachers in the classroom, both in childcare classrooms and in elementary, and then family leadership and support. And our theory in Early Matters is really that if you have a coordinated and aligned system of all of these sectors, then you're giving children their best chance to succeed in life. So Early Matters put out last year this early childhood action plan, and it's got a lot of strategies in each of those three domains. And one of them you'll see down here is the Quality Matters Fund. And the Quality Matters Fund was started a few years ago by Early Matters. It's public and private funds. And before, it was used to improve the space at a childcare in past years, so that if you need new sprinklers to help you increase the number of quality childcare seats, that's what it was used for in the past. And this year, we got a grant from the city of Chattanooga to do recruitment and retention of childcare teachers, because again, childcare teachers are the workforce behind the workforce. So you all are ensuring that everyone else can go to work while also simultaneously building the brains of the youngest residents of Hamilton County. So the money for this Quality Matters Fund came from the One Chattanooga Relief and Recovery Plan. It's basically federal ARPA dollars that were flowed down, and we applied and got the funding to support childcare teachers. There are four parts of the Quality Matters Fund. There was the part that you all are here for today is the higher education tuition, which hopefully get people on the wages pay scale. Dedicated substitutes, which this program is running. There's a workforce training pilot for, there's a STEAM fellows and a teaching artist residency at a few other childcare providers. And then we're also working with the university to create a lesson plan toolkit for substitutes. We got feedback that childcare teachers often don't want to leave the classroom to take advantage of things like professional development or cool cohorts, because it's a lot of work, frankly, to create a lesson plan for a substitute to fill in your spot. And so UTC is interested in creating one, all sorts of resources for teachers to make it easier for you to be able to leave the classroom. So as I said, tuition assistance, we're hoping that people will either use these two classes to get up on the wages pay scale, or to advance on the scale if you're already receiving wages pay stipends. So childcare wages in Tennessee was started in Hamilton County and then expanded to the state. It's operated and distributed by Department of Human Services. And really what you have to be on wages is make $20 an hour or less, have worked in your childcare for at least 6 months, and then you're working in a licensed childcare facility in Tennessee. It is not a requirement listed here on the wages website that you actually live in Tennessee. So you can live in North Georgia, North Alabama, and still qualify for the wages pay stipend. So this first level here is what we were really thinking of for our childcare teachers who don't have their CDA, who are interested in taking courses. So we did a survey and a lot of childcare teachers responded and said that tuition was the main barrier. So we're offering up to $1,200 in tuition. So that's two classes at Chatt State or almost one class at UTC. And I'll go into some of the other details here, but what do you have to do as a childcare teacher if you're going to receive this money? Number one, we're going to contact you halfway through the semester and ask, how's it going? So just let us know. And the other thing is to just pass your class. You all are going above and beyond if you're working in childcare, raising a family, also taking on higher education. You're a superstar. And so that's a lot. So we're not going to bother you too much throughout the semester. Just check in one time and ask how it's going. You'll receive an optional survey from our program evaluator who is just trying to figure out, is this something that teachers want? Is it going well? Is the fact that you have free tuition helpful? And then also we're going to be tracking whether or not it helps you after the fact in the classroom. Again, those are optional. You will have seen on the application that we're requiring a co-signer, and the responsibilities of that person is just on the off chance that a student receiving tuition assistance doesn't pass the class, which we know you're going to, so don't worry. The co-signer will reimburse the United Way of Greater Chattanooga for the amount of the failed class, either $600 or $1,200. So United Way of Greater Chattanooga is our fiscal agent for Chattanooga 2.0 for this grant. So they're holding the money from the city for us, and Chattanooga 2.0 and Early Matters staff are running the program and all of the various elements I talked about a second ago. So because they're federal dollars, we're trying to be very compliant with the spending. So what can you use this tuition assistance for? So tuition and fees is what these funds can be used for. Unfortunately, because they're federal dollars, they won't let us put the funds towards books or materials, but you can also use these funds for your TECTA copay. So if you're already receiving TECTA assistance, tuition assistance, and you have your 15% or so copay, you just still fill out the application and check that that's what you would like, and we will cover that for you for 2 classes. Funds can also be used for this fall semester and then again in the spring semester, depending on how much money rolls over. To qualify for this tuition assistance, you have to both live and work in Hamilton County. So unlike wages, which is a state program of Tennessee, you don't have to live in Hamilton County. You don't have to live in Hamilton County for that, but for this tuition assistance, you do have to both live and work in Hamilton County because of rules from the city grant. And you have to work at a licensed childcare facility. For tuition assistance, you can work in a Department of Education or a Department of Human Services licensed childcare agency. You have to be interested in enrolling in early childhood education and development courses at Chatt State or UTC. And then with your application, as I said, you have to upload your co-signer agreement signed by your employer or another co-signer. And this, and the document basically says that they will, on the very unlikely chance that you will not pass the class, that the co-signer will help you to reimburse the Quality Matters Fund so that we can stay federally compliant. But we know you're going to pass. And then it's okay if you failed a class previously. One of the benefits of this tuition assistance is that if you've lost your TECTA tuition assistance because you failed a class and you need, you can take advantage of this free tuition to pass a class and then be re-eligible for TECTA tuition assistance. So we're hoping that a lot of people take advantage of this opportunity. The deadline is, if you would submit your applications about 5 days before the start of classes, that will give our team enough time to process the paperwork, and you'll receive an award or confirmation email once we've verified that you do qualify for tuition assistance. And in the meantime, please submit your applications to Chattanooga State so that you, as a non-degree seeking student, or indicate to them that you have applied for tuition assistance through the Quality Matters Fund. The deadlines, the classes, I say 5 days before the start of classes. But that's different for Chattanooga State and UTC, and Chattanooga State has start as 7-week and 15-week courses. So those start dates are different as well. And those are all listed on the website. So I am actually going to stop sharing for a second and turn it over to Ikeko just to talk about this program and her general thoughts on Quality Matters Fund and how this might be of service to childcare teachers in Hamilton County.
Hello, everybody. So I've been in childcare for over 30 years, and I tell you, I wish they had something like this when I was in school. Actually got my start when I was 17 at the Y in Paris, Kentucky. Came to UTC, worked at the Y downtown, and had a set of twins. There was no tuition assistance. There was no wages. You earned what you earned. I think that was back in 1993, where I was making $7.25 an hour and trying to make ends meet. So Early Matters is really working hard. We really have advocates for childcare, teachers, the whole childcare directors, the whole childcare gamut. We're really out here advocating for you guys. And this wages program is an excellent program because it's just like any other profession, right? The more education you have, the more money you make. So there's 9 levels to wages. I think it's a wonderful program. And so 6 credit hours, $600, all the way to level 9, $7,800 that you can earn. So, I mean, it's definitely a program that you want to enroll in. It's very easy. Wages.org. You can go on there on the website, ask questions, but it's that and the tuition assistance up to $1,200. Do it. Do it. This is free money, and I tell the cohorts that I work with, we provide things for them and it's free. So it's free to you, but somebody's paying for it, right? So, and this is money that's going to help you. It's going to help your household, your children. It's like I said, it's very easy to apply. It's a wonderful way to retain teachers. We want to retain our good teachers, and we know that the pay rate is a barrier. We know that insurance is a barrier. We know that being able to go back to school and to pay for school is a barrier too. With the rising cost of everything, I think a child care teacher in this day and age would be foolish not to partake in this program. It is designed to help you. We want to help as much as we can. And through the wages program and through the tuition assistance program. I had a meeting with workforce development today, and we were looking at the wages program. And I saw earlier that it was like, if you make $15 or less. But right before I left work, I was like, oh, let me pull off the wages supplement scale. And I saw that it went up to $20 or less. So we're able to get more teachers in there. We want And we are fighting again and advocating uh, for teachers to have a livable wage, right? Because and not just early childhood teachers, but we know that teachers in grade school are not making, you know, a livable wage, and they are teaching the next generation of doctors, lawyers, and basketball players, and all of this, and those people are making all the money, but they're starting. It starts with us. So we want to make sure that we are advocating for you guys. Again, the website, wages.org. Um, and also the more education you have, if I'm just a preschool teacher and I don't have any education, um, it's hard because we're dealing with behavior issues. We're dealing with issues from parents. Well, when you go back to school, you're learning in all the different classes that you're taking with the CDA or the AA, or even to get your bachelor's. You will learn how to deal with these things. So that will make your classroom flow a whole lot smoother, um, as well. So again, I highly encourage you to. The website is very easy to use. It's user friendly. Signal Centers is housing that, and you can call. They have a number on there that you can call. But definitely take advantage of any and every opportunity that's available out there to make your lives richer, and to make your classrooms better as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Ikeko.
Mm,
And I
my
will say
pleasure.
it's federal time-bound money, so we have to use this money by next year. So tell everyone you know, anyone who
Mhm.
isn't even a childcare teacher, they should become a childcare teacher so they can get some free money to go back to school. Now I'm going to turn it over to Tania Henson-Brooks at Chattanooga State to talk to you all for a minute about what it's like in the early childhood program at Chattanooga State.
So I'm, like she said, Tania Henson-Brooks. I'm the program director of early childhood at Chatt State. Now, that means that I work primarily with the programs of study that are designed for early educators. They're designed for folks working in childcare, working in early education. We have some folks who take the associate degree that transfers on to a four-year school toward teacher certification, or, you know, that awful stuff. But we are, the part of the program that I'm over is really focused on supporting folks who are out there doing it right now in the field already, and looking to either improve themselves or at least improve their station, which actually makes it an amazing place to be as a faculty member, because everyone in the program wants to be there for one reason or another. It's unusual in that we don't put a big emphasis on the general education classes. Even if you stick around, our emphasis is on helping you learn things that you can turn right around and use in your classroom the very next day. So all of our assignments and projects, they're designed to get at the why do we do what we do, and how do we really do what we do if this is what we believe about the way children learn. But they're all designed to make your life as an early educator easier, to make it more enriching, and to help you better understand why those children are doing those things. So that's what our classes really focus on, is the applied side of it. Now, a lot of times we'll get students who want to come in and study early childhood, and they have barriers from past lives, from a previous college attendance, and you've got loans in default there, or you still owe that school some money or something, and you can't get your transcripts. Traditionally, yes, that would stop you from starting a traditional college program. However, you can come into Chatt State as what we call non-degree seeking, and you can skip over some of the hurdles of, I can't get my high school transcript, I can't get previous college transcripts, I don't have a high school transcript. Although if you're working in early childhood, you do, of some sort. But we're designed to help you get in and get a couple classes and get started. And then if you want to keep going, we will hold your hand through overcoming those barriers. And fortunately, financial aid programs like this one support students who aren't able to enroll in the traditional way and who can't access the traditional financial aid sources for whatever reason, which are very typical. I've helped quite a few students this week who have one barrier or another, and I keep sending them to this new scholarship fund because it is a great way to get in and get you started while you're overcoming those barriers. One thing that she mentioned was the different class starts, because we do 7-week and 15-week classes. We have a start, generally academic year, we have a start in August, we have a start in October, we have one in January, another in March, and then another typically in end of May, beginning of June. So there's lots of start dates around the annual calendar that one could get started. So if you don't quite make it by August, there's always October, or same for any semester. Another point is that this program doesn't support textbooks. Well, let me just tell you, of the 2 beginner classes that we generally recommend, and if that's not what you need, that's okay, we can work that out. But one of them doesn't even have a textbook. It has an online course content. It's technically called an open resource textbook, but it's really like looking through the information and images and videos online. The other one has a book, but you can rent it very inexpensively, usually for less than $40. And so when we say it doesn't cover textbooks, we're not talking about the kind of textbooks that some of us remember paying $200 and $300 for. That's not the kind of books we're talking about. So that's not a major, huge expense in the way that your previous college life might have seen textbooks. So generally, we recommend students start with our Intro to Early Childhood class and our Safe Healthy Learning class. And those are very introductory level. They're designed with no prerequisites. So regardless of where you stand with previous college work or not previous college work or ACT, SAT, what even are the CTs, we don't care. We'll get you in. All that's required is that you have an excitement and a passion for learning how to better care for the little ones that you're helping to raise, to hopefully take care of us when we're old, but also to shape the future. What did I miss addressing there, Jennifer? Were there any other things?
Well, I think that's great. I think the big takeaway is that Chattanooga State professors and team are there to support the teachers and the childcare teachers and the students. And you don't have to bring, you don't have to know all that stuff from your past. If you apply as non-degree seeking, then you can get into the college much quicker and get signed up for some of these classes.
And you had asked me to address cohorts. So we don't officially cohort students where we say, okay, you're in this year, and so you have to take this class this time and this class this time. We're rolling because we're an open college and we're all grown-ups and life happens and maybe you need to take a semester off or whatever. But we do find, for example, this coming semester, that we pair our classes in such a way that students go through them together. And so the students tend to group together and stick together and look out for each other. And we support that as faculty members by having tutoring sessions and online drop-in times. And we have an early childhood tutor who's available at certain times and days to help.
Mm-hmm.
And so we like to put those things into place so that there is the sense of being a cohort, of being in it together, whether it's official or not.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tania. And if you all have questions, hold them. Caroline, I'm going to turn it to her, and she's going to go over the online application, which I think some of you have probably already seen. I know I got Ms. Corlew's application this morning and some from Signal Centers. So Caroline, I'll let you share your screen and go over it, and then we'll turn to question and answers.
Okay, I am going to also put the link to the application in the chat if you would like to sort of go through it with me. Full disclosure, my internet is telling me it's unstable. So if I start popping or lagging or something, please let me know. I don't want you to miss this information or be confused if I feel like I drop out at a really crucial point. So if you click on the link, this is the first page that it brings you to. It just provides some of the background that Jennifer already gave us in the PowerPoint, as well as some of the criteria, eligibility criteria, and the ongoing responsibilities regarding the class attendance, what registration might look like, and the need for the co-signer agreement. It is linked here if you wanted to click on that and download it. Or there's an opportunity later in the application. So here's a little table for the class schedule so that you can kind of calculate that 5 days before the start of classes. And then we would love to know what it is that you're applying for. If it's tuition for Chatt State courses or UTC courses, you're looking for the Tech to Copay assistance, or are interested in CDA certificate preparation. So I'm just going to sort of do a mock example here, but make sure that you're selecting what actually applies to you. So everybody knows what their name is probably, and their address. Oh, hang on, all errors are fixed. And then you enter in all of this information so that we know how to contact you if we have any questions about your application, or to make sure that we can let you know if you have been awarded the tuition assistance. So if you work at a childcare center, make sure that you put in your directors' names. And this is, again, just so that we can keep track of everything when it comes to the co-signer agreement information. Sorry, it's so tricky to do when I have these marked as required. So does your employer currently pay for college tuition? It's okay if you don't know that right now. We would still love you to complete the application. So we have the option for if you don't know, and if you have currently received the Tennessee Wages Salary Supplement, or you don't, or if you haven't heard about wages, tonight you got a really good introduction to it. If you ever enrolled in college before, have you ever failed a class before? And remember, don't be afraid to answer that question. It does not disqualify you from receiving this tuition assistance. Have you completed TECTA? Do you currently receive TECTA? And are you a Signal Center's work ready participant? So this is the high school information. I was homeschooled. This is, yeah, if you don't know, obviously, the exact date that you graduated on, just the first or last of the month, whatever is easiest for you there. What we're really looking for is the year here, whether or not you graduated or received your diploma or a high school diploma equivalency. If you have attended college, you can provide that information here. I gave you 2 options because I know lots of people do transfer. If you've received a credential or certificate, whether that is your CDA or some other specialization, we would love to know about that as well. Because this tuition assistance is last dollar, we do need to know if you have completed the FAFSA for this school year. If you haven't, that's not a problem. We would also like to know how many courses you're interested in taking. At Chatt State, if you are interested in 2 courses, that would be the full amount of the tuition assistance. If you're only looking to take 1, that would be half of the tuition assistance that we're able to offer right now. So do indicate what you are looking to take. And again, the spring funding is sort of dependent on what the demand ends up being for the fall. But if you're interested in taking spring courses, we do want to know. If you're receiving any of these scholarships or grants, other forms of tuition assistance, we need to know because, as I've already said, this tuition assistance is last dollar. So any other scholarships or grants you might be receiving through the institution or through another funding source, you can type that in here. some of the supports that we are able to offer are listed here, but really we just want to know things that you might need to feel like you can successfully tackle working as a teacher and taking classes, because we know that it is extra load. And so Tania already mentioned the tutoring, assistance accessing course materials, any learning accommodations that you might need due to any learning disabilities, and any other things. As we stated before, the in-person courses are for first-time students. And so we want to know how easy that would be for you to access. These are really quick questions to sort of go through. As a condition of receiving tuition assistance, you agree to submit to Chattanooga 2.0 proof of the co-signer agreement, and that is available to download right here. So you can download it, and I'll open it right here so you can see it. These are just fillable spots. You would type your name here, your director, or your other co-signer. If that's your parent, or maybe a mentor that you have outside of work, they can go here. This is some background information that I'm sure your co-signer would be interested in regarding Chattanooga 2.0 and the QMF fund, the purpose and the obligations for Chattanooga 2.0 and United Way as the funders, you as the students' obligations, and then your co-signers' obligations. That defines the time frame that this applies to, and then you would just fill in the names again. This line is for your co-signer. So I, director, agreed to reimburse United Way, and then select the amount that you had indicated before in the application, and then your name would go here and select the semester that this applies to. The co-signer would sign it, date it, and then you would be able to upload it here. So I'll just select that one. And that is attached to your application. So it's all done in one step, and sent to us all together. So that makes it really, really easy. Acknowledging that you're responsible for the costs associated with materials or textbooks, which I didn't even know until hearing Tania talk right now, that there were so many options that didn't require those, yes, super expensive college course textbooks that, yeah, I certainly remember. As a condition of receiving tuition assistance, you agree to submit to Chattanooga 2.0 proof of passed or failed classes. The ones that the tuition assistance is paying for is what we're talking about here. And that would be no later than the end of the week following the posting of grades. Acknowledge that you are currently a childcare teacher within Hamilton County and that you have enrolled in early childhood education related courses. Diligently participate in all of the class activities. That includes assignments, discussions, whatever comes up. And then making sure that if you feel like you can't accomplish that, that you indicate that to the professors, the instructors, the student assistant roles, I guess, that are there on campus, because we want to make sure that you have all the supports that you need to feel successful in completing the course with a passing grade. And then that is really all you've got to do, and then you submit it, and we receive the application and the attached co-signer agreement. One thing I do want to say is, if you are completing this application on your own personal device, it should save the information that you have completed up until downloading the co-signer agreement. So if you're not able to have your director sign it, right then as you're filling out the application, if you you can leave and come back. If you're doing that on, a personal device that doesn't require logging out or having multiple users, if that makes sense. So that is something that I hope should make it a little bit easier. I'm going to look at the chat if there are any questions here, or feel free to unmute, and we can, I shouldn't have submitted it, so I could have gone back a little bit more easily. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute and we can talk about those. But that is all I've got.
Thank you, Caroline. I do think it's easier if you go ahead. The link to download that co-signer agreement is on the very first page of the application and on the QMF website. So it's easier for you to go ahead and have your director sign it so that you can just apply and upload it all at the same time. But it's good to know that if you forget, it will hold your place and you can go back. I know that that's frustrating when you have to start over. Let's see, Tania, is there anything that wasn't covered in the, description of program or the application that you think is relevant for people to know as they're applying to Chatt State or applying for tuition assistance that will go to Chatt State, or do we pretty much will cover it?
I think that there's probably about 25 different directions I could go with that. Because there's always, well, what about my situation? And that's why you and I have our emails visible and available to answer questions on individual cases. But I do want to say that as far as Chatt State goes, it's not so much that there are specific classes that you have to take using the scholarship money. It is designed to help you get started and get moving. But like she mentioned, it's also helpful if you were using another funding source and had a rough semester or two and weren't able to get back on that financial source, and therefore you have to prove yourself successful in order to get back on it. This is a great way to do that, to get back in good graces with whatever other financial support you were utilizing. That's one of the things I'm the most excited about, is using this as a way to get rolling again. I'm happy to answer any questions when we get to that part, though. You're muted.
Thanks, Tania. Oh, you'd think I had figured it out by now. So if anybody on the call has questions, we'll be happy to answer those, but I wanted to direct your attention to the frequently asked questions page on the Early Matters Quality Matters Fund website. It's linked there, and we've got at least 2 pages of questions and answers, and we'll add any that we discuss on this evening's call. And then if you have more questions outside of that, you can feel free to email earlymatterschat@gmail.com. Caroline and I will get back to you, and we can connect you to Tania if you have very specific questions to your situation, as she said. And then just so that it's up here on the recording before we start discussing everyone's questions, class enrollment and start dates. So a week from today is when classes begin at Chattanooga State. So if you have not applied, please do that. Please submit your applications by this Wednesday so that we can go ahead and get all of that processed for tuition assistance. UTC starts the following week. And then the last day to add or drop classes is the 16th. And then you will have another chance for starting a class October 9th at Chattanooga State, and then the spring semester for both of the colleges. And that's all I have for the presentation. So I'm going to stop and then turn it over to anybody who has questions that they would like answered.
I have a question. I am getting an email saying that my bill has to be paid by the 10th for my classes at Chatt State. Is that going to be possible? Will I have the funding by then, or how?
Yes, you have already submitted your application. So what I can do is go ahead and add you to our pre-check. I don't know if Caroline's had a chance to see them, but we have you're a Hamilton County resident and you are looking to go to Chatt State. So you pretty much qualify. So we can add you to our roster of people that the Quality Matters Fund is paying for. So we can go ahead and send that over in the morning. I don't know the process. And if you do, Tania, if you register for classes tomorrow, what then would be the date by which?
Okay, so anybody who's registered needs to have either their account paid up or be on the list for some financial aid source. So if you were going to do QMF, then you would need to have gotten the confirmation from them that you were on their list. At that point, you're safe from what we call the financial aid strip that happens before the semester begins. Even if there ends up being some sort of balance for something, I can't imagine what it would be in this particular case with Chatt State. But if there were something on your account, you still wouldn't be stripped from classes as long as you were on the QMF safe list. And then there is another strip partway into the semester, and if the account isn't fully paid up by that point, then you'd be dropped again. But that's different from what's going to happen the week before classes start. The week before classes start is really just to clean out all the folks who registered way back in April and have since completely changed their mind and disappeared, but never unregistered.
Does that answer your question, Ms. Corley?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Any other questions?
I have a question. Tanya, do you know the time of the classes start at Chatt State?
So the typical classes, not the work ready classes, but the typical classes at Chatt State begin at 6 p.m. and run from 6 until 8:30 p.m. We like to set up twofers so that students can commit one night and knock out 2 classes in one semester. So some semesters will do that as a 5 to 7 and 5 to 7 back to back. But right now we're leaning more toward classes that run from 6 to 8:30, and we'll have one class the first 7 weeks and then have a fall break week and then have another class the second 7 weeks, or we'll have 2 classes that alternate weeks. So on week 1, you've got this class, on week 2, you've got that class, and you may have the same students in both classes, or you may have different students in each class. But we try to set it up so you can knock it out with the commitment of one night, get done 2 classes, and you don't have to be there until 6 p.m. Because we know childcare centers stay open late and staff have a hard time getting off early. But if we start any later than 8 p.m., 6 p.m., we actually end up with students who don't sign up. For a while, we did a lot of classes from 7 to 9, and we had students who'd say, no, that's too late. I can't do that because I have to be up and at work. It's 7 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. And so staying out at campus until 9 o'clock at night was just too much. That crossed the line. So we found 6 to 8:30 to be the closest to a sweet spot that we can find.
And Tanya, does that change semester to semester depending on the demand and what teachers are needing in terms of classes?
Yes, we have a set class rotation at Chatt State, so we can tell you predictably which ones we're going to offer as twofers on a Tuesday night, and which ones we're going to offer only fully online, because we do have fully online classes, although we don't recommend them for students first time in early childhood because we're a different kind of class. And so we always recommend that students who are just starting ECED classes try to take at least one class with instructor meetings so that you've got that guaranteed interaction and support each week or every other week. And so we can tell you what we're going to offer from semester to semester, but we can't guarantee what's going to make. So we also have a couple of classes that we will frequently teach as virtual classes through Zoom like this, so that students who are unable to come to campus are still able to have at least an occasional class with instructor interactions.
And
So it doesn't apply quite so much to our Hamilton students, though. That's more our Grundy County and beyond people.
And are all of the classes that are scheduled for this fall, Tanya, are they all right now on Chattanooga State's campus off of Amnicola?
There's one that will be meeting at the Chambliss Center on Tuesday evenings. We're just finishing up a 4-class sequence at the Chambliss Center. Those who are involved in the Work Ready project, there's classes being offered at that nonprofit center site. and we've got one that's virtual and several that are fully online, but the rest of them are at the main campus on Amnicola. And usually by 6 o'clock, parking's great.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Joyce, have you had any questions? There you go, from the work ready participants?
Not yet. They were mostly getting signed up today. I think we have a few that'll get signed up tomorrow, and that should be it. But my question was, would they be eligible for scholarships again in the next semester? If they're making progress?
So we'll have at least, if you've signed up for one class this semester, then you're definitely eligible for the spring semester if we have funds left over.
Okay.
And then I know we've had some people who signed up for one, 2 in fall and 2 in spring. And I think we have to make the money disappear. We have to use it. So if we have a lot of money left over, we're going to want to continue to help and do all the things we can for the childcare workforce in Hamilton County. But it just depends on how many people sign up for the scholarships for this semester.
We're also hoping to facilitate at least those attending at Chatt State that we know are working full-time or nearly full-time in childcare. We're hoping to facilitate their use of the TECTA orientation and then the continued TECTA support to continue out the additional programs in early childhood, because we have the 4 classes that support the CDA credential, but then we have 4 more that you can add to that and have a technical certificate that never expires and is recognized by the state. Whether or not it made it into the rules and regs this year, it's supported by the state and it's supported by Head Start. Recognized, and then all of that folds right into the applied associate degree, and all the way TECTA will continue to support. So for those who haven't completed the TECTA orientation, then the hope is that we can utilize this as a way to get them started, get them on the wages scale, and help them get set up with the TECTA orientation so they can continue beyond the $1,200.
Is that helpful, Joyce?
Yes, absolutely, because I'm trying to consider if people may be interested once they finish the coursework to do, to participate in the TECTA or the CDA training. So it's good to know if money's there, it can be a support to our interns. So great news.
One thing Tania just said that jogged my memory is that if you all know anyone who's a childcare teacher and they perhaps are working in childcare, but they have a biology degree or a psychology degree or an engineering degree or anything else that's not early childhood, they can use this money to take those 2 classes in early childhood so that they can still get on the wages pay scale at a much higher level. So you don't have to start from scratch. You can bring your previous education over to wages to get more money as long as you're taking those introductory classes. I think it's for 2 years. You eventually have to go towards an early childhood degree, but for the first 2 years, that is money in your pocket. Does anyone else on this call have any questions that we can answer?
I did have one that's like a sidebar. Are you still accepting applications for the substitute teaching program?
Not for providers, but yes, for substitutes. So we have our 10 childcare providers selected who have decided to be, for those of you who are on the call, one of those aspects I talked about earlier was the dedicated substitutes. And so we ran a pilot where 10 childcare providers, we had a lot of applications, but we're selected to receive a dedicated substitute teacher 20 to 30 hours per week to sub in for the lead teacher so they could take a day off or stay home with their children. To answer your question, Joyce, I received 2 more applications this morning for dedicated substitutes, which is fantastic. That brings us up to 3. Means that we still need 7 though to fulfill to complete our pilot. So we're still looking for teacher applicants who would work 20 to 30 hours a week in one of these childcare classrooms. And it's for 1 year. It's not indefinite. It is $13 an hour, but more if they have a CDA or early education degree.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll go back and look at it. We may have one person who could be interested.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, well, if anyone doesn't have any other questions, I'm going to thank all of you all, Caroline and Ms. Henson-Brooks and Ms. Bass, for joining us to talk about this program, and thank all of you for joining and listening into the technical assistance portion. If you haven't submitted your application, please do. Again, it's a rolling application, so it's going to stay open from now until probably for the next year, so that we can get all of this money spent and supporting childcare teachers. So spread the news far and wide to any childcare teacher you know that we're offering this free tuition. And that we have some few other opportunities like dedicated substitute for any college students you know who are not yet working in childcare. And I will end with thank you. Thank you for all that you do and the important role that you play in nurturing the young brains of our future, in general. In general. Y'all have a good night.
You too. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you. Bye-bye.